of the Air Pollution Control District for March 11th, 2014. And with that, I'll ask for a roll call if we're ready.
Board Member Bennett.
Here.
Board Member Foy. Here. Board Member Long.
Here.
Board Member Morgan.
Here.
Board Member Ramirez. Board Member Sharkey.
Present.
Board Member Tucker. Board Member Zaragoza.
Here.
And Board Member Parks.
Here. And with that, Mr. Morgan, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Can everyone please stand? Hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
Thank you, and welcome to Board Member Heitman. Welcome. Nice to have you here. We'll go now to our agenda review. Are there any requests to change the agenda as we have it before us? Not seeing any changes, we'll continue with the agenda as is. And now go to public comment. Are there any public comment?
For the minutes, please.
Okay, let's do the minutes. Thank you. Got a motion from Board Member Sharkey and a second from Board Member Zaragoza. Are there any objections or abstentions to the minutes? Not hearing any objections or abstentions, we'll call them unanimously approved then. Now we can go to agenda review. Are there any changes? Still no changes. We'll continue with as it is and go to our public comments. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Here's your opportunity. Not seeing any members of the public wanting to speak, we'll go to board comments. Does anyone have any comments other than what's on our agenda? Okay, we'll go right on to then our consent item, which is item 9, consent agenda item 9, review and approve unless an item is pulled for separate action. So item 9 is the appointment of Paul Meehan to our APCD Advisory Committee representing the City of Ventura. Do we have a motion and a second from Board Member Pollack? Are there any objections or abstentions to the motion? And we'll go ahead and deem that one unanimously approved. And now go to item 10, which is to appoint Dr. Stephen Bansbach.
Number 9. Thank you.
Oh. All right. Yes, congratulations on your appointment. It was kind of touch and go there, but we pulled it through. And Mr. Villegas on number 10.
Yes. Chair Parks, members of the board, I'm Mike Villegas, Air Pollution Control Officer. California Health and Safety Code requires each air district to have a hearing board, and that board consists of 5 members appointed by your board. It consists of 2 public members, a registered professional engineer, an attorney, and a medical professional. And the terms of hearing board members are set by statute at 3 years. It's a quasi-judicial body that acts on petitions submitted by permit holders, district staff, or the public. It conducts hearings on requests for variances from district rules, appeals on certain district permit actions, permit to operate revocation actions, and orders of abatement. In 2007, our medical professional resigned from the APCD hearing board. Since that time, district staff has been trying on numerous occasions to find a replacement member. We issued press releases that ran as articles in the Star announcing the availability of the position. We actually sent letters to the medical directors of each of the hospitals in Ventura County and to the Ventura County Medical Association. We spoke with them on numerous occasions, and recently we received an application, and this applicant more than meets the qualifications for the position. Therefore, we're recommending that your board appoint Dr. Stephen Bansbach to the APCD hearing board as the medical professional member. That's all I have.
Thank you. And I think the last medical position was Dr. De La Pena, maybe? Was that right?
No, it was, he's on
I
the...
won't.
Dr.
Chapman.
Robert Shackman.
Thank you. And Stephen Bensbach is from Lake Sherwood area. So
Yes, he is.
So is there any recommendations, a motion to appoint after a many-year
Second.
delay? We have a motion from Member Long and a second from Member Morgan. Are there any objections or abstentions? Not seeing any. It passes unanimously also. And now, item 11, which is a study session on the Central Coast Electric Vehicle Readiness Plan.
Yeah, I'm going to be introducing Stan Cowan, who's going to make this presentation, but I felt it was good for your board to hear about what's going on in the Tri-County area with Santa Barbara, San Luis, and Ventura County. We're working cooperatively with the other 3 air districts and the other counties under the auspices of the Basin-wide Control Council to push this effort to get EVs ready and to get these vehicles on the road and make sure that there's adequate charging for these vehicles. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Stan, and he's going to step you through our efforts.
Great. And then we have one public card, which we'll do after our staff presentation.
Chair Parks, members of the board, Stan Cowan, air quality engineer. I'm just going to give a brief presentation on the EV readiness plan that we've been working on for the last 3 years. Electric vehicles are here in great numbers, 100,000 vehicles nationwide, 1/3 in California, and Ventura County leads the Central Coast on a per capita basis in EV adoption. These vehicles range from luxury cars to affordable vehicles, the Tesla to the Leaf, and all of them reduce dependence on petroleum, reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 75% compared to gasoline cars. This slide shows the West County of Ventura, the EV charging stations that are located here, led by the cities of Ventura, Oxnard, and Ojai. So you see we've been busy in the West County, and also we've been busy in the East County. You can see all the charging stations.
Turn that back one, please.
Sure.
Did you mean 78 public chargers in Ventura County?
In the county, right.
Okay, thank you.
That's a public.
Ventura.
Yeah, Ventura County. There are almost 35 public stations in the East Ventura County, including 3 DC fast charge stations, which can charge a vehicle up to 80% under 30 minutes. And those are located at Thousand Oaks Transportation Center, the Camarillo Premium Outlet Mall, which we just recently had an opening. Simi Valley Nissan dealership has a fast charge. Also, Nissan has installed a fast charge station at the Oxnard dealership and also at the Santa Barbara dealership. And 2 more fast charge stations are proposed for location at the Oaks Mall in Thousand Oaks and the Pacific View Mall in Ventura.
Are these marked on the freeway?
There are some signs. Heck, in Camarillo, there's a sign.
I don't know about Oxnard ones. I've never seen them.
Yeah. Well, we need to get those if they're not there. Yeah. APCD has made great strides in EV readiness, and we will continue to support infrastructure development and outreach efforts. One of the best ways to do outreach is to have these electric car shows. We've had over 50,000 people exposed to electric cars at these shows with the idea of purchasing or leasing an electric vehicle. Every July 4th, the Ventura Street Fair has a green car show, and last September we had our first National Plug-in Day event at the collection in Oxnard. Our recently completed EV Readiness Plan will support progress in EV readiness by providing local recommendations for cities and counties, including case studies and examples of what can be accomplished locally. And I'll talk about those recommendations in a few minutes. Local grant funding, including using DMV fees, Clean Air Fund money, and California Energy Commission grants, have been used and will continue to be used to support infrastructure development in the county. We are leaving no stone unturned to install EV charging stations in the county. And these are the goals and metrics. There are several goals that are identified in the EV Readiness Plan. The first one is the purchase or promotion of electric vehicles by consumers. The target is 60,000 vehicles by the year 2025. and 5 to 10% of vehicle purchases by 2020. The second target is a number of public charging stations with a target of 200 level 1, that's the 110 volt outlet, 300 level 2, and 10 DC fast chargers on Central Coast, of which we already have 4 in Ventura County, with 2 more proposed. The next goal is to streamline the installation process by doing things to simplify the permitting of this equipment. And we're hoping that that target will be reached 20% this year, 100% by 2020. These are the other goals here. Integrate vehicles with the electrical grid so that vehicles and energy storage can provide lower energy costs by reducing peak demand. Our outreach goal is to reach as many Ventura County residents as possible with our green vehicle events and meetings with business and other government officials. Last but not least, our goal is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from light-duty vehicles to meet local climate plans, clean air goals, and sustainability goals. Now I'll talk about the recommendations. There are 14 recommendations. I'm not going to go through them in a lot of detail, but because of limited time, but I will kind of touch on the 14. More details are available in the EV plan that was attached to your board letter. The first recommendation is a charger permit form that has all the required elements of the installation. The second recommendation is an installation guide and checklist to ensure that all the installation issues are addressed, and both of these recommendations should facilitate the installation process. Recommendation number 3 is an online permitting program as another way to kind of expedite the permitting process and make it more user-friendly.
And this would apply to residential also, right?
Residential, yes, yes. Okay. Recommendation number 4 is reasonable and flat permit fees. By making the fees reasonable and flat, that will encourage more consumers to spend money on these kinds of projects.
Could I ask about that too? Would you be coordinating with the cities then, so it would be the same
Yeah,
process?
right. We provide information to the city staff, and in fact, when I guess the city of Oxnard, when they were trying to determine what fees to charge EV users, we gave them a table of what the standard rates were for that. So we do.
So if I wanted to get one at my house, I'd have to go get a permit through the city
Yeah,
and then also through the air board?
No,
No.
no, it's
I
just
mean,
the
by
city.
air board, I mean APCD?
Right, no, there are no APCD permitting requirements for these things.
So this is just working to try to get a coordination between the cities?
Cities, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, recommendation number 5 is to waive plan requirements for simple installations. Most of the time, these installations are minor modifications to either a garage or a parking area, so there's not a big need to go through a plan requirement. Recommendation number 6, establish phone and online inspection request systems. What this does is it allows the contractor, or actually the city staff would call, or you could call the city to request an inspection or online and kind of expedite the process that way. Recommendation number 7, provide training on EVSE. EVSEs are basically EV charging station technology, and this would involve holding workshops with vendors to get what equipment is out there now, because the equipment, as you know, they improve it every year. They get dual chargers, that sort of thing, and it'd be nice to have the vendors in a meeting with electrical contractors and staff, and trying to see what the best options out there for EV charging stations. Number 8, provide utility notification of EV installations. This would require that, or recommend that city staff also notify Edison, and also the user needs to talk to Edison about utility rates, because the EV, you get special rates for EV charging if you charge off-peak hours at night. So, and you want to make sure you're using the right rates from Edison so you can take advantage of that. Outreach to HOAs and property managers to offer multi-dwelling units. One of the big challenges in the EV development is for people living in apartments and condominiums. And the plan addresses some of these issues. One of the recommendations is outreach to homeowners associations, property owners, to offer solutions. There's a flow chart in the plan that talks about the process. Who do you meet with? The tenant, the property owner, Edison, and the electrician and the contractor. So that's a great recommendation. Recommendation number 10.
Could I ask a question too on
Sure.
this? Do different vehicles require different kinds of charging stations? So like if you had an apartment building, would it be difficult to just have one kind?
There are, for level 2, it's not an issue because it's a standard connection. But for the fast charger, which you wouldn't want to stick a fast charger in well, not usually in an apartment setting. I guess that's a possibility, but it's a little bit more difficult to cite. So that's where there are some compatibility issues because of, it's a long story, but right now they're working on it. They have the CHAdeMO is one that's sort of the standard right now, but they're working on another standard which is going to be incorporated into that particular
So
device.
for the fast chargers, there's some different
Right,
different types
right.
out there. And then I just, again, kind of the same type of question we were having when we were looking at where do we install these, that someone could park there all all day long, right?
Yeah.
And then monopolize it. That same thing could happen in
Right.
multifamily units too. Only one person benefits from it if they get there,
Right,
before
they need to
dinner
put
and they
signage
stay.
up saying,
So the fast chargers may be good in those
that might be,
cases
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm going back to what we did a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and we had a couple of electric vehicles that did plug-ins in their homes in Camarillo. We were trying. I never really found out what happened to those. Are they still going?
Yeah, we had a project
Yes.
to install level 2 charging station at the Metrolink station.
No,
in
this was they plug in at their home.
Oh, at home. Yeah.
They had two of them.
Oh, 2 of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Those shouldn't be any problem at all.
So those are still running and going, I think. I
Yeah.
guess.
The home chargers, sure.
Okay. Then an apartment complex, if you can plug them in at your home,
Yeah.
it's going to be overnight anyway.
Right.
Then you should be able to plug into any outlet that's in the complex that can help charge overnight.
Yeah,
without
that's
having
called
to-
level 1. Yes.
Right, without cheating from other people.
Yeah.
That would be a way to do it. 'cause
In
it
fact,
starts at
yeah.
nighttime.
Level 1 is an excellent opportunity.
Yes,
It's the least expensive. It takes longer to charge, but if you're doing it overnight,
That's it.
then you're in good shape.
see this one? All over the town, all over.
Yes, Gil.
And I have a level 2 charger in my garage because I drive a Chevy Volt, and it's the difference is that a level 1 charger take about 10 hours overnight to charge. Level 2 is less than 4 hours, so that's a big difference.
Right.
I also want to let you know that in Moore Park we have 4 level 2 chargers, one at City Hall, one at Post Office, and 2 at the Metrolink station. And the city of Moore Park now has its first plug-in electric vehicle. We're leasing a Volt for code compliance.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
Oh, great. Good to know.
Okay, let's see the next slide here. Recommendation number 11, proactively meet with EVSE providers. This was more important when the grants were assigned to the EV charging vendors themselves, ChargePoints, Ecotalities. In fact, that's where the origination of the Ventura parking garage charging stations were on that kind of basis, where the contract went to the vendor itself. And that's changed recently, but this recommendation was to contact the vendors and make sure that they use or that they see Ventura County as an opportunity to spend that grant money. And in some respects, we're fortunate to be in the Southern California region because a lot of the qualifications for some of these contracts was that the incentives had to be at major metropolitan areas. And Ventura County is considered close enough to Los Angeles that we were eligible for some of this grant money. So that was fortunate for Ventura County. Recommendation number 12, establish charging network development and siting principles in the plan. The plan does contain maps, siting principles. We're looking at fast charge stations along the freeway corridors where you're looking for inter-county transportation. We've been installing level 2 chargers at shopping centers, at Camarillo Premium Outlets, and government locations. They're called destination charging. And we're looking to basically locate chargers wherever they're going to be most frequently used, because we don't want them to just sit there. So that's a basic principle. Identify key stakeholders to provide ongoing oversight of EV infrastructure plan. Part of the requirements of our grant with the Energy Commission was to develop a coordinating council. We've actually developed 2 coordinating councils, one called the Plug-in Central Coast, which comprises the 3 tri-counties, and we have Plug-in Ventura County, which is a Ventura County group to provide oversight. And we've had several meetings with these groups. During the last 3 years, we've been developing this plan. We've met twice, either in person or via webinar, twice in 2012, twice in 2013, and as recently as this past January. So we're definitely getting feedback from the stakeholder community. Last recommendation is to promote building code amendments for EV-ready, solar-ready buildings for new construction and for major renovations. This is important. If you're doing new construction or major renovations, then it's a lot less expensive to install the equipment, or at least the wiring, for the building while it's under construction. So that's something that we would definitely encourage. I want to thank your board for your support of APCD efforts to promote electric vehicles in the county. And we are in the process of completing this $250,000 grant with the Energy Commission. Recently, the Central Coast was awarded another planning grant for $300,000, and we are participating with Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo counties. With that grant amount, we've already been awarded that amount, and we will be actively working with the Central Coast on that effort. In addition, do you want to?
Could I just ask one question for
Sure.
you? I know you're going on to conclusion. The percentages you're talking about here, the 3%, 1%, that's percentage of the total number of parking spaces?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is my last slide here. Here we go. In addition to the $300,000 grant, we're pursuing a $500,000 grant for actual equipment installation from the Energy Commission. As part of that effort, includes 10 dual chargers for the County of Ventura at 7 locations, located in the cities of Ventura, Santa Paula, Oxnard, Camarillo, and Simi Valley. That's 10 dual chargers at 7 locations. I want to thank the work of GSA, in particular Bruce Fisher and Paul Young, for their work on this grant application. Also, Iris Ingram from Moorpark College applied for a dual charger for their facility at the college there. And Mary Joyce Ivers of the City of Ventura applied for a grant for EV charging at their community park, the Aquatic Park in East Ventura. So I want to thank them as well for their work on this grant application. We recommend that you receive and file this EV readiness plan. It will fulfill the requirement of our grant from the Energy Commission. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Any questions? Yes, Member Pollack.
More of a suggestion. I was really excited when I saw the new level 2 chargers at the Camarillo Outlet Mall, and just to discover that it was another company I hadn't heard of providing it that had their own separate tap card system, so I wasn't able to utilize it because I already had ChargePoint and Blink cards, and now we've got a third person. So one thing we may want to do for the consumer's sake is to suggest that they have some sort of an interchange agreement so that you don't have to have a whole stack of different cards for each different provider.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. Interchangeability is important. The Freedom Station at NRG, I think, is actually, the reason it says Freedom is that it's open to any access to any EV user. I don't know about the level, they did a retrofit of the existing level 2 station there, so that may be where you're looking at.
Yeah,
that.
and they have an 800 number there you can call and plug in right away, and I tried that, and they couldn't seem to make it work.
Okay, well, at least they're, well, at least you made the call, at least. Yeah.
Well, it's great to have your experience that you can share with us, so we
Yeah,
get some
definitely.
on-the-road experience.
I just wonder.
Yes, Mr. Morgan?
Stan, do you,
Yeah.
have you seen anything along the line or in the future, I'm sure you're on top of all this, to show that we can find any batteries that'll go more than 90 to 110 miles?
Well, the Tesla goes over 200 miles.
But yeah, but I can't afford Tesla. I'm talking about having normal, routine cars. Even a BMW, dude.
Well, that's nice about the Volt is a plug-in hybrid, so there's no range limitation at all, and you can still get the 40 miles electric miles if you're just commuting from Camarillo to Ventura, then that should be enough
If you're
to.
commuting to LA to here,
Yeah.
now what?
Then it's more of an issue, right? Well, there's charging stations in LA, so
But do you foresee anything in the future being studied that would carry more mileage than that?
they're working on it. I mean, the battery technology is improving every year, so
I wasn't able to go, but the first electric bus that's
Yeah.
being built by BYD, were you at the thing? Yeah, built by BYD in Lancaster was in Camarillo because the Roadrunner is looking at buying one. And it's one that can pull up on top of something and charge in 20 minutes, I think it is, 20 minutes.
yeah.
It's off and running. That was supposedly a 100-mile bus. So we do have some new things happening. I just want to know if there's anything on cars like that, where we can not just get recharged so fast, but go further.
Yeah, they're working on it.
Not yet, okay.
I'm taking a ride in the bus tomorrow.
Good.
Yeah, and if anyone else is interested, we can arrange it. Roadrunner has it available.
I rode in it when it was in China.
Okay.
I did.
Well, at this point, if there's no other questions, I have a card from the
Okay.
speaker. Russell Sidney.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Russell Sidney. I'm president of New Energy Answers, Inc., and also principal organizer for the Sustainable Transport Network. I want to express my thanks to the board for encouraging the initial step that has been taken in the planning for electric vehicle preparedness, and I think that Stan and the APCD has taken a worthy first step. However, there is much that needs to be done. I'm really glad I have a fellow Volt owner here. I'm a little envious of his charger because I charge my Volt on Simple 110 in my condo's garage. And it's plug in at night and I'm full the next day and away I go. And I know Mr. Morgan is interested in finding out how I managed to go 3,000 miles on one tank of gasoline. So maybe Mr. Pollock can help him to get that picture. The concern that I have is that there's not additional funds coming into the county for this cycle. The money that's going to the CEC, I'm not aware of any of that being allocated to staff here in the county. The fact that we're not pursuing that more aggressively leads me to be concerned about there being a certain difference in understanding between my point of view and what's going on in terms of what needs to be done. There's tasks there that can be identified that need to be taken care of. The magnitude of this issue is absolutely huge from my point of view. We're talking about nothing less than breaking 100-year dependence on fossil fuels. That is not going to happen easily, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen unless we actively pursue it. And furthermore, the urgency of this is of great concern to me. And I know many of you understand that and share some of those concerns. The perspective on the large view is that our dependence on fossil fuel is a huge national security issue. It puts our men and women in uniform at risk more than any other issue around the planet, and has done for the last 10 years or more. It's also a concern about the economy, not just the national economy, but there's millions of dollars that leave Ventura County to pay for fuel. Those dollars take jobs with them, they take our capital, and they take the tax base that your organizations need to operate. That ties into the concern about that each of you have in terms of your budgets for your fleets. The budgets for your fleets are dependent upon the price of fossil fuels, and if we were to incorporate EVs into those fleets, it would cut the fuel costs for each vehicle by 2/3. So all of these are very real, in-our-face concerns before we even get to the issues of pollution. And a number of people that are very concerned about that, particularly people who have to deal with the exhaust on their bicycles and things of that nature, let alone the health risks involved. And that's before we even get into a discussion about the fact that for the last 30 months, Ventura County has stopped being a Mediterranean climate and is acting like a desert. There's another perspective I bring to this, and that is that I've worked with people throughout Southern California on this effort. I have worked with people in pretty much all of the counties, with the exception of perhaps of Imperial, and have seen millions of dollars go into those counties from Department of Energy grants, from the federal EPA, from the California Energy Commission, and from the California Air Resources Board. And as far as I know, the only money that's actually come for the staffing in this area is the $50,000 that was retained out of the $250,000 to help Stan do his work. I think we got big bang for our bucks out of that $50,000. Unfortunately, my perspective says that Ventura County is in the bottom 3 of all the counties from San Luis Obispo south in terms of their ability to garner those funds and utilize them in terms of their alt fuels development. The tasks that we have at hand are, the list is so long it boggles my mind.
And could you wrap up too, as your time
Wrap
is-
up? Okay.
yes.
All right, the clock just came on, I appreciate that. Suffice to say that the planning on this effort will only be done when we have EVs incorporated fully into all the land use and circulation elements, all the climate action plans for every organization, government organization in the state. When we have clear plans in the hospitals, in the schools, in all the county agencies that identify exactly what needs to be done and where it needs to be done, then we have accomplished some part of our task. That means engaging all the fleet supervisors, public works, facilities management, and the budgeting offices, as well as the executive oversight. This is more than just planning chargers, and the chargers are not well planned right now. They're not going into places where we can use them. It's about bringing in demonstration vehicles. It's about engaging the fleets. Thank you, David, for getting that first one in there. It's the only one I know of in Ventura County that's a demonstration vehicle for the fleets. We have both heavy-duty and light-duty vehicles that can be brought into fleets, including into the APCD, because only by driving these vehicles can you really understand what the needs are for adopting them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, really appreciate your passion.
My pleasure.
I was just wondering in regards to the comment on whether we can get more funds for installation, if the staff has any comments on that one.
That's kind of exactly where staff wants to head now, is more on implementation. And as Stan pointed out, we did apply as part of a $500,000 grant from the CEC with the other 3 counties for those 10 county chargers, those 10 sites, and then Moore Park College and the city of Ventura. And we're going to continue to pursue those, all of any opportunities we become aware of for infrastructure, actual implementation dollars.
Great.
And the other thing I'd like to, make sure that people know that is certainly as we go and cite these, I think, Stan and I have been talking about consulting with Mr. Sidney on what he thinks of some of the potential sites that are being proposed, get his perspective as an EV driver and user and proponent.
Thank you.
Question?
Mr. Morgan?
Do we get a report, all right, it's been a while since we got a report, but on the usage of those, of our electric sites, how much?
Yeah, it had increased it's been increasing over the past couple of years, the percentage of time they're in use.
10%, 20%, 100%?
We're on 100%.
100%, good.
That's good to know. All right. Well, are there any other comments or questions on this? Okay, and I guess we need a motion to receive and file.
Move that receive and file.
A motion and a second from Councilmember Pollak. Any objection or abstentions? Not seen anything like that? We'll go ahead and deem
Madam
that.
Chair?
Yes.
I neglected to take roll for Board Member Heitman earlier, so for the record, she's been present for the entire meeting, and the vote record reflects such.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know our next item is our receive and file on the financial status report.
Yes. Attached to the board letter are the district's financial status and year-end projections for fiscal year 13-14. The financial status report and year-end projection for the pass-through grants is contained in attachment 2, and it does not affect the bottom line. This is our Carl Moyer and some of our other incentive funds where we have corresponding revenue for all expenditures. On the operations side, that's in attachment 1, district staff is estimating the total realized revenue will be below adjusted appropriations by approximately $32,000, and this is due to a slight decrease in the number of permits that are being renewed on an annual basis here at Ventura County. On the expenditure side, our total operating expenditures are expected to be below the adjusted appropriations by $815,000, which is a significant drop. The salaries and benefits expenditure will be under budget primarily due to lower vacation buy-downs and postponing filling some vacant positions. The estimated savings in services and supplies is mainly from projects that are being completed in-house, being reevaluated or carried over into the next fiscal year. I'd also like to point out that we do not anticipate using the $300,000 in contingency during this fiscal year. I'd like to caution that we've prepared these numbers with the best information we have on hand at the time, and this really affects us with our federal funding, because if there was any potential delay or decrease in our federal grant, it would significantly affect our bottom line. But in conclusion, we're projecting a net savings of just over $200,000 for the current fiscal year. That's all I have.
It's impressive. Comments, questions, or a motion? Motion. And a second from Councilmember Morgan. Any objections or abstentions? Not seeing any? Say that's approved too. Thank you very much. I know that, Mr. Villegas, we had scheduled a closed session. We don't have a quorum to do that. Is that correct?
No, the standing committee. We have a we
Oh,
have
the
a quorum.
closed session, it will continue.
It's for the
It's a
full
standing
board, yes.
committee that we can't
It's the
have.
standing
Okay.
committee that would have to be delayed.
All right. Well, then I think that concludes our regular agenda, so now we go into closed session? And then we'll just adjourn from closed session.